Scottish Parliament does not have the power to legislate for a referendum on Scottish independence. The court will now adjourn.
The SNP on their own win a majority in the 2021 elections, and they then say, well, that gives us a mandate for another referendum, because we've clearly stated in our manifesto a vote for us is a vote for another referendum. You would say no?
So what I said in that, what I said was they would take that as a mandate for another referendum. I made that quite clear because, and I want to make
So your answer is, even if the SNP win the 2021 election, the Johnson government will refuse to give the Scottish government, or the Scottish Parliament, a Section 30 order to hold another referendum.
We think that constitutionally we're coming out of the European Union. It would be wrong for us to give the rights to the Scottish Parliament to set the referendums and the context and the timing.
What would the SNP have to do in that case to get a mandate for another referendum?
Well, let's see the benefits of Brexit. Let's see. They've talked Brexit down as being a disaster. No for a generation.
How long's a generation?
Is it 25 years or is it 40 years? You tell me.
But I asked you if it was a voluntary union, and you said you thought it was. So what is the democratic route out of that union?
Well, look,
if one nation doesn't want to be part of it anymore.
we need to make our arguments. We need to have our priorities. And my priority is the economy, stabilising the
but
economy
what's the
and
route
growing the
out?
economy.
What if people don't agree with you and they want out? Are they stuck in it?
Well, of course they're not stuck in it.
So what's the democratic
They're not
route
stuck
out?
in it, but this is about priorities.
We've been interviewing people out and about over the last few months, people who are really struggling with their bills, cost of living. None of them mention things like House of Lords reform. I'm wondering if you feel that this is a priority for people at the minute.
Linesmen don't get any sympathy, but certainly MPs don't either. Yes, Douglas Ross. That's the not one for the collection.
Well, people have to be really clear that a vote for the SNP is a vote for another independence referendum. That is what they are taking forward. It's not their plans for Scotland, or it's not on the record.
But if they are clear about that, then shouldn't they be allowed to have that?
I don't want another referendum.
I'm not asking you if you want it or not. I know you don't want another referendum. You're the leader of the Scottish Conservative and Unionist Party. We know you don't want another referendum. But what if the people of Scotland want another referendum?
Well, the people of Scotland have an opportunity to stop that. They can stop that.
They also have the opportunity to actually vote for it. And I'm asking you, what happens if they vote for it?
Well, they voted in an independence referendum just 7 years ago.
But they're voting in 3 weeks' time in a Scottish Parliament election. What if they vote for a party, the SNP, or the Greens even for that matter, but what if they vote for a party that promises them a referendum?
Well, I'm saying vote for parties that will stop that. And the only party that can stop another SNP majority, their plans for another divisive independence referendum are the Scottish Conservatives, the same party that stopped it 5 years ago when people supported the Scottish Conservatives on the party list vote can do it again this year in 2021 by stopping an SNP majority.
Is the union based on consent and a partnership of equals?
Yes, that's how our family of four nations work together, and we've seen that during this pandemic when the UK furlough scheme has protected jobs here in Scotland, England, Wales and Northern Ireland, when the vaccination scheme that's being rolled out is protecting the most vulnerable in our society, and more than 2.6 million people in Scotland have already had the first dose of the vaccine.
What if the people of Scotland withdraw that consent then?
In what way?
Well, if they vote for a party that wants to hold another independence referendum, then vote for independence in that referendum. They've withdrawn consent for the union. Would you just not allow that to happen?
Well, I'm encouraging people not to support the SNP. And you wouldn't expect me, Colin, in fairness, I don't think you would expect me to determine the outcome of an election before a single vote has been cast. So what I'm trying to do is say to the people of Scotland, we can put that debate to one side. We can say there shouldn't be a focus on a referendum. There should be a focus on the recovery. But the only way we can do that is to vote for the strongest party to stop the SNP. And across Scotland, that's the Scottish Conservatives.
So what's your vision for the future of a devolved Scottish Parliament?
Would you ever want to be Prime Minister?
Yes, I think everyone who comes into politics should have aspirations to reach the very top.
If you were Prime Minister for a day, without any repercussions, what would you do?
I'd like to see tougher enforcement against gypsy travellers.
Oh dear, Douglas Ross. Oh dear.
For fuck's sake.
What's your message to him?
There is a question now, is the UK a voluntary union?
Yes, it is, and we expressed that by having a vote here in Scotland just 8 years ago.
Like, what is the route for Scotland to get independence then, if it wants it?
Well, Colin, you wouldn't expect me, as the leader of a party which
as a Democrat, I would expect you to be able to answer that question.
I'd hope, Colin, you would understand that as someone who believes passionately for Scotland's place in the United Kingdom, I'm not going to set out a route map for Scotland to be separated from the United Kingdom.
But Westminster is currently blocking any option for Scotland to have another independence referendum. So I ask you again, what is the route democratically for Scotland to have another independence referendum if it wants it?
But I'm saying, Colin, we had that choice back in 2014, just 8
years ago.
Is that it? Look, that was just 8 years ago, and we were told then by both sides that they would respect the result of that referendum.
If this is a voluntary union, is there a way out for Scotland if it wants it? And you're not answering that.
Well, of course, and I said absolutely, this is a voluntary union, which is why we were given. Which is why we were given
how Scotland can get out of it if it chooses to get out of it.
That's why we were given the opportunity just 8 years ago to make that decision, and the people of Scotland decided, having listened to,
that was a one-off, that there's no other opportunity. That's never likely to arise.
What I'm saying is, I will never, as someone who passionately believes in Scotland's place in the United Kingdom, give a route map for separation.
One of the reasons that I'm kind of definitely going to vote yes is, no offence, but I really don't want the Tories to be in power in Scotland ever. Never, ever, ever.
Look back to the 1955 government, Anthony Eden's government, with 36 of the 71 seats in Scotland, and look how things have declined for the Tories since then. As you pass over the years, through the Thatcher years, into the Major years, you have 11 in 1992. Nobody thought it could get worse than that, but my goodness it did. And the interesting thing is that John Major then fought on the union of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the UK as a union. That fell down then, and it fell down even worse this time. And what's happened since the election? Well, there's a general...
Douglas Ross has always been quite a lightweight figure, so I don't think that